Krishna, thank you very much. We are very excited today to continue this second day journey into the life of Bhakti Tirtha Swami. We have a wonderful guest here who is very renowned throughout the movement, Mother Vrajalila, who in 1979 joined ISKCON in New York. Over the years, she has pioneered several projects, including opening ISKCON temples throughout West Africa, helping with the development of the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology, founded by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami, assisted with the development of GBC Devotee Care Committee in Mayapur, co-authoring the Devotee Care Course Manual, and currently in Gitanagari, she and her husband, Ekavira, reside there serving Gurudev's mission through the Inter-IFAST project and many other projects. She understands the importance of caring for devotees spiritually, emotionally, and physically as being the foundation for exemplary couples and exemplary families. During the final phases of Gurudev's earthly journey, she and her husband Ekavira currently surrendered in service as Gurudev's protective servants to facilitate the best quality of life for him during his last days. Mother Vrajalila has one of the longest standing relationships with Gurudev, which will provide unique insights about empowerment, resilience, service, and how we should maintain our connection with Guru. We look forward to hearing about the auspicious nectarian pastimes with Gurudev in the talk entitled Gurudev Forever Present and Active. So look forward to hearing from you. Jai.
Thank you, Krishna Shakti. It's so great. We're so really grateful to be able to hear from you, Chitta Shakti and Nandasudo, so early in the morning, and from all the devotees that are participating in this call. Before I start speaking, we just want to honor our Guru Maharaj with a prayer during this time, because this is the anniversary of his departure. So let's have a prayer together.
Ashale Kutibo Mata Anale Prasibo Ashale Kutibo Mata Anale Prasibo Gauranga Munira Nikota Rado Gauranga Munira Nikota Rado Se Sabasangira Sante Jekona Vila Se Sabasangira Sante Jekona Vila Se Sangala Paya Pandena Chamodas Se Sangala Pandena Chamodas Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama,
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Swami Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj Ki Jai, His Divine Grace and Mercy, Bhakti Tirtha Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Vichai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo.
Haribo. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much, devotees, for being on the call, and thank you for the organizers in London that came together in such a beautiful and exemplary way to share with all the disciples all over the world the mercy that we receive from our spiritual master. With deep gratitude, I want to thank Dhruva Prabhu, because Dhruva Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. And it was Dhruva's vision to have this program. He actually wanted to have this program all over the world, including the Samadhi in Ghana, including the devotees in Ghana, in West Africa, and Nigeria. He wanted to have this program where the Samadhi here in America, devotees would be able to see that yesterday. However, as Chakta said yesterday, Dhruva he thinks big, like our beloved Guru Maharaj. And so we're very fortunate to have what we have, and we thank Dhruva that maybe next year we can do what he wanted. So thank you, Dhruva Prabhu. Thank you very, very much. So I just want to say a little prayer before I start sharing. This is one of my favorite prayers that I have heard from many of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's disciples. They chanted so beautifully. First person I heard chanting this prayer was Vrindavaneshwari, who lives in Mayapur. I've heard this prayer many, many times, but she was one of the first persons that I heard that chanted it in a way that made me feel that connection that she had with Guru. So this prayer, it says, Gurudev, Kripa Bindudiya, Ore Dase, China Peka Atehina. So I'm just going to chant that first line because, as all of you know, the singing person in our family is Ekavira Prabhu. However, I'll read the Sanskrit. I read the English. Gurudev, by a drop of your mercy, make this servant of yours humbler than a blade of grass, giving me strength to bear all trials and troubles. Make me devoid of all desires for personal honor. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastai Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Tinamane. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shitatmane. Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Itinamane. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastai Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaura Vahani Pacharane. Nirvishesha Shinyavadi Pashtatya Dejatarane. Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees. Thank you very, very much. Hari Hari Bol. So I'm speaking today about Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj being ever present and always active in the lives of his disciples and in the lives of so many, many, many devotees, so many people all over the world. And so in sharing about Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, I want to just share a small story that connected me with my spiritual master, our spiritual master. So it was in 1979, and I was at that time searching, as we all were, in different times of our lives. I was searching, and I was actually a part already of a spiritual group. And one of those persons that was involved in spirituality requested that I attend a program that was being given in New York. I'm from New York originally. I live in New York. And it was at a restaurant called Govinda's in Washington, in New York. And at the time when this devotee requested me to go there, what I learned later was that this devotee wanted me to meet Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. And when he took me, this is a male devotee, when he took me to meet Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj had a lot of people around him, many devotees. He had just taken sannyas in 1979. And so I was from New York, and I still am, but at that time I was really like in myself, as a lot of people from New York can be at times. In any case, I was looking and thinking, okay, I'm supposed to meet this person. However, there's too many people around him. There's too many. He's just too, it's just like I thought I can't wait to meet him. And so I left that restaurant, Govinda's on 55th Street in New York, and I did not meet him. And it wasn't until some months later that now I'm in Los Angeles, because I'm traveling around and visiting temples, and it's my journey in searching. And so I'm visiting the temple in Los Angeles, and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj comes through Los Angeles. And he invites devotees to join him at this restaurant that he was caring for in Washington, D.C. at the time. And he had a few devotees with him. Most of them were disciples of Kirtananda at the time, Kirtananda Prabhu. And so I was one of those devotees that went again with this friend that I was with to go and see Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj in Washington, D.C. at the restaurant. And now this is a part of the story that's important to this theme of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj being ever present. When I went into the room to meet Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, it was in the back of this restaurant in Washington, D.C., and it was a small room, and it was made into a temple room. And he was sitting in a chair, and I walked in this room. There were only two other persons in that room. And because he had on saffron, and because I had some understanding, a little understanding that, when you see somebody in saffron, you offer your obeisance. And so I saw the saffron cloth. And so when I got close, I knelt down, and I offered my obeisance, and I sat up. And when I sat up, when I looked up at him, I knew him. And I said that to him. I said, "Oh, I know you," in my flippant New York mood. I said, "I know you." And he said, "Yes, and I have been waiting for you. I know you, and I have been waiting for you." So those words, "I have been waiting for you," those words are what keeps me knowing that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj is always and will ever be present. Because just like Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said to me, Gurudeva said to me, "I know you." I know that he didn't mean he knew me, my physical body, my physical form. He knew me, the spiritual person that's encaged in this body. He knew me. He saw me, and he let me know, "I know you. I know you. You've been running. Yes, you've been running. And you have been trying to escape. But you know what? I see you, and I know you." And like that. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj makes his presence known by letting every one of us know, I see you, I know you. Every disciple that has connected with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj has felt that I know you. It's personal for each and every one of us because he knows each and every one of us. And this knowing is beyond anything external. You know, it's beyond any of our material conditioning. It's beyond any of our needs and wants and desires. It's beyond all that. He actually is able to go to see the spirit soul. Now, let's look at that from Sastra. Why is that? How is that? How is that? So the spiritual master in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's explained, because Krishnadas Kaviraj explains that the spiritual master is actually a representative of the super soul. He's an external representative of the super soul. So this is in Adalila. It's in the beginning of Adalila. And it's explained that in Bhagavatam also explains that if a devotee that has had association of a spiritual master, if that devotee becomes aware of their purity, that devotee also has connection with super soul. Also, so when the spiritual master is not present, super soul is always active in us, always, always. And if we can go beyond the externals of who we might think we are, then we also have that opportunity and that ability to be able to connect with the super soul. So the essence of what I would like to share is a few points. How is the spiritual master available for me? How is he present for me? And how is it that I can understand that he's active? So there's many from that very first meeting with my guru, our Gurudeva. And for those that are guests, those that are visiting on this call, please know when I say my Gurudeva, I'm inclusive of all of us. So what has had meaning for me from that very first meeting is what I saw in our spiritual master, how I got to observe him. I was a very observant young woman. I was very active and very much involved in, you know, all kinds of different escapism. And so one of them was that I was very scrutinizing, and I was not going to just accept something because whatever, even Sastra, I was like questioning all the time. And so I had that mood, and he allowed me to have that mood. I would question, like, okay, why is this? Why is not what? And he was always just so kind. But I'm going to get to that later about his kindness. So thank you. So when he is instructing us, the disciples. So is there a way, because I keep looking at the what's being shared on the screen. Is there a way for me to not see that so much, what's being shared on the screen? Is that possible? I am so grateful to see what the devotees are sharing. However, I'm realizing that I look at it and then I want to thank them. I want to say, okay, thank you. And I forget what I'm supposed to be saying.
Chat room come off if you take Mother Vrajalila off co-host.
No, the chat's for everyone, but Mother Vrajalila, if you click the chat button, then the chat will disappear. So you don't have to see it.
Just for a second, just for a few minutes, because I just want to. Great, thank you so much. Thank you, Vivos. So yeah, I know I was making this point. This is what happened when you get older. My body's much older than it was at that time when I met Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. It's like 40 years older. And so, so what the point I wanted to make about the spiritual master and the disciple and how we can experience his presence, how we can experience him being very active, is there in Sastra, it's there in scripture. And so I shared from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and now I'd like to share something from Srimad Bhagavatam for us. And this is in the fourth chapter of Bhagavatam, text 28. And it's about this King Puranjana in his next life. And I just want to read something from Srila Prabhupada's purport. And he says, when the Brahmana asked the woman who the man lying on the floor was, she answered that he was her spiritual master and that she was perplexed about what to do in his absence. At such a time, the super soul immediately appears, provided the devotee is purified in the heart by following the directions of the spiritual master. A sincere devotee who's following the directions of the spiritual master certainly gets direct instructions from his heart, from the super soul. Thus, a sincere devotee is always helped directly or indirectly by the spiritual master and the super soul. It's the Bhaktilata Vij. If the devotee serves his spiritual master sincerely, Krishna automatically becomes pleased. Yasha Prashadam, Bhagavad Prashadam. By satisfying the spiritual master, one automatically satisfies Krishna. Thus, the devotee becomes enriched by both the spiritual master and Krishna. The super soul is eternally the friend of the living entity and always remained with him. The super soul has always been ready to help the living entity, even before the creation of this material world. It is therefore stated here, Yena agri vicharta. The word agree means before the creation. Thus the super soul has been accompanying the living entity since before the creation. So I wanted to share that very briefly, only because that is the first understanding that a devotee must have internally, that the spiritual master is present through the medium of the super soul. The super soul is there in every living entity. And so therefore the spiritual master is present for all of us eternally. Prabhupada says in this last part of the verse that the super soul has been accompanying us since the time of creation. So therefore a devotee, although we do feel sadness in the departure of the spiritual master, we understand though that the spiritual master we can easily connect with the spiritual master by connecting with the super soul. Now, of course, that requires some qualification, right? It's nice to hear this, and it's important that we understand philosophically our connection with the spiritual master. At the same time, we do have these bodies and we do have these minds, and so therefore we need help. We need help in so many ways. And so the spiritual master is present for us in different ways. In my experience of how my Guru Maharaj is present, or how our Guru Maharaj is present, is from the different types of services that he engaged me in during the time when he was present on the planet. And so when I reconnect with some of those services, and I reconnect with what was the intention of my Guru Maharaj to engage me in those services, then I can be present with those intentions. And I can try to understand, how can I still be active by being present to the instructions that my spiritual master gave during the time when he was on the planet. And so some of those instructions throughout the years have been, and I'll just because we don't have much time, so I'll go over them very briefly. I'll just share very briefly. In my first experience with my Guru Maharaj, I tell the story a lot, after I met him at the restaurant, and he had the dream from Srila Prabhupada to go to Africa. He had that dream. So Srila Prabhupada came to our spiritual master quite often through dreams. So that is one of the ways that we can experience the spiritual master after he has left the planet. personally, I have and continue to have many, many dreams with my spiritual master. He always makes himself present, always. And I can always learn something if I can remember the dream when I wake up. So in this time when when our Guru Maharaj had that dream, that Srila Prabhupada showed him opened this door and showed him all these faces, he knew he had to go to Africa. He knew he had to leave everything and go to Africa. Within 3 days, he got his passport, he did everything that was necessary, and he left. And I had just joined him some months before that. So that was in 1979. And by the end of 1979, he was going to Africa. And I remember asking him, so what's supposed to happen to me? I just came, and there were actually all the devotees that were with him were men. And there were only he had not that many devotees. He had about four or five devotees that was assisting him. And I said, what's going to happen with me? And he said, don't worry, I will arrange for you. And so then he did. He arranged for me to go back to New York Temple, where I was initially supposed to meet him. And he arranged with the devotees there, because he knew those devotees, for me to do book distribution. So that was my first experience of my spiritual master and instructions. He sent me away to be with devotees while he went with his spiritual master. Now, for his spiritual master. Now, he went to Africa, and for 1 year, I stayed in the New York Temple doing book distribution, learning and being cared for by devotees in that temple, learning from them, being cared for by them throughout that whole period of time. And so this is how we can also understand how the Guru is present and active. When we first meet the Guru, and the Guru first gives us an instruction, how is that instruction still living in our lives? We can always ask ourselves that question. How is he still present in whatever that instruction may have been? So for me, my first instruction was to distribute books. What is that? What did Prabhupada say about distributing his books? He says, so many people distribute my books, but they don't read it. I heard that so many times in the New York Temple. If you're going to distribute Prabhupada's books, read the books, read the books. And so that was Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's example himself. He traveled all over Eastern Europe distributing Srila Prabhupada's books in the most dangerous situations. And he was an avid reader of Srila Prabhupada's books. His example is because of the life that he showed us from Srila Prabhupada's books, the life that he lived. So therefore, it's important for us to go back down memory lane and remember, when I first met my Guru Maharaj, what was something he shared with me to do? And if he didn't personally share some things, what are some things that I know that he was sharing with my god brothers or my god sisters that I could see that, pleased him? What was that? And we can all know that what pleased Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj more than anything in this world is to please Srila Prabhupada. His life was to please Srila Prabhupada. So that's our first instruction. How do we please Srila Prabhupada? Well, we please Srila Prabhupada by understanding parampara, understanding that what Srila Prabhupada has done in his life, the reason he was so committed in his life is because he was following the parampara system. He was following his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And so this is something for us to live in our lives. Follow our spiritual master, follow the disciplic succession. Learn from the disciplic succession. Yes, we do have our minds and we do have our bodies that are always continuous distractions. This is a fact, and we do want to acknowledge that. At the same time, though, it's important for us as disciples to become mature in our devotional life. It's that time. It's 15 years later. Our Guru Maharaj would have been, I believe, 70 years old this year. 70. So he more than likely, by natural circumstances, would have been leaving around this time, or maybe he would have gotten 10 more years. Usually we get to live 10 years, you know, whatever. We get to live to 80, 10 more years added to 70. So perhaps he, anyway, physically in terms of his body, he may have been thinking of leaving the planet. So if he was on the planet, we would all be thinking like that. My Guru Maharaj may leave the planet. What can I do to keep his mission going, to keep his teachings going, to keep his life examples going? And so that's a personal thing for all of us, each and every one of us. We need to go internally and really try to understand our spiritual master and what he wanted from us. What did he want? Well, how would he want us to be? So we talked about dreams. We talked about our Guru Maharaj being active in dreams. We talked about Super Soul, that the spiritual master is always available through the medium of the Super Soul. Krishna is available always. And then I want to share about other devotees that Guru Maharaj is so present through his God brothers, God sisters, his other disciples. We can always learn from the disciples and also from his God brothers and God sisters. That's a way that we can keep our Guru Maharaj present and active in our lives. I saw in the case of Gurudeva, when he went to Africa, one of the main reasons was, of course, that dream. But another reason that I don't know if many people are aware is because there was one of Srila Prabhupada's first disciples, Brahmananda Prabhu, that was writing to him. And he was sharing with him always that he had no association in Nigeria. He said he would write to him and he would tell him, I need association. At that time, there wasn't so many devotees that were interested in going to Africa during that period. And so he would constantly ask Bhakti-tirtha Maharaj, when will you come? When will you come and give me your association? And so when Guru Maharaj got that dream, he knew that Srila Prabhupada was sending him to be association with Brahmananda Prabhu. And so that's so key for us. Guru Maharaj always made himself available to be with others, to get their association, to hear from them, and also to share his association. And so that example for me is so key. It's so important because I saw that in his life, throughout his life. I saw Bhakti-tirtha Maharaj with Radhanath Swami throughout my life as a devotee, and how close they were as friends. I saw this depth of friendship. It wasn't based on anything about the bodies. It was based on their mutual love for Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada's mission, and Srila Prabhupada's desires for us all to be able to develop a loving relationship, ultimately, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what I saw in my life, in growing up as a devotee, in the association, in the care of Bhakti-tirtha Maharaj. I saw that love extended in so many ways with his God family. So many ways. I saw Yamuna Devi, people, just incredible association that expressive of their love for Srila Prabhupada. So the disciples of Bhakti-tirtha Maharaj can really exemplify his presence and see him being active by how we all associate with each other. This is so important. I recently got a call from a devotee, and just after this program, and the devotee was sharing how he felt no one cared about him. No one ever asked him how he's doing. And I was thinking, why is that? Why is that? This isn't the mood of our Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj he was always caring. He was always asking, how's this person doing? How are you? Even he was actually more helpful. I saw that in my life, more helpful to devotees that were experiencing the most difficulties, that we would think, why is he giving that person so much care and attention. He made himself available because he knew those persons needed the care. They needed the care and the attention from the guru, and he made himself available. So in understanding how to connect with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, how to connect with our Guru Maharaj, and how to see him active and present, we can also read his books. He's so available in his books, so available. Just recently, and I'm going to try to find this, I saw a quote that Yashoda Mai, who lives in Gitanagari, she was on yesterday with all the beautiful devotees sharing about Guru Maharaj, such beautiful, wonderful pastimes. And she shared this quote, and I'm sure many devotees have heard this quote. It is, however, I'm going to read this quote only because this is in one of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's books. And I pray I can find it. It's on my phone. Oh, Krishna. Okay, so, okay, here we go. This is Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. This is through his Harinam Chintamani. He says, we do not just want to become members of a powerful institution, but we want to experience the theology in such a way that our lives preach our message. We want people to feel amazed by our culture of devotion. If the participants are wholesome, the families are strong, and their physical and psychological needs met, this devotional culture will certainly amaze people. Most important, they should see how the spiritual care offered to those in the immediate environment extends outwards. We must first influence our own families and communities in order to influence the society. If we cannot first help ourselves, how will we execute the commission of these great acharyas who want to assist them in global transformation? This is from the Reflections of Sacred Teachings, Harinam Chintamani. So there, his books. We can experience. This is him being so active. Right now, we're in all over the world. We are experiencing a crisis of people that are concerned about getting care. People are concerned all over the world. They want care, and so here's Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj being very active through one of his disciples, saying, "This is a way that we can give care. These are my instructions. Follow these instructions, not just print them and pass them out. Follow them, live them, be that for others." And so that's our call, really. That's our call. He's given us so many books, and all of his books are reflections of what Srila Prabhupada has given to us. He's made it simpler for us, for those that say, well, I can't really study Sanskrit, or I can't, whatever, I can't hear the language, or whatever our external self may be saying. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj made it easy. He made it easy for us to be able to apply this Krishna consciousness in our lives and to live it, to be it. That's who he was for me and for so many others. That's who he still is for so many others. There are people that are writing to me, and I'm sure to many of you, just by reading his books. Bhuta Bhavana Prabhu, I want to thank you. This is the example of a disciple. He was so persistent to get Srila Prabhupada, to get Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's books on Amazon. Sometimes I would get letters from him and I would think, oh no, not again, Bhuta Bhavana Prabhu. Oh my gosh, what is, connecting with all the different devotees, connecting with the minds of everyone. And I was thinking this, at the same time, I was thinking, let me finish that thought. I was thinking, Bhuta Bhavana Prabhu, I don't know if this can happen. I don't know. But Bhuta Bhavana kept writing to me. He kept sending letters to all of the people that were concerned. And it just was he was so persistent. Why was he so persistent? Why? Because he knows how people can benefit by reading these books and having them available. And so I'm sure it's not just Buddha Bhavanath Prabhu that had that determination with the books. It's just that he was the one contacting me. I'm sure that there was a whole team there in England that had that mood, that wanted those books to be on Amazon. And so for that, I am really grateful. The last point I want to share about Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and how to experience his presence, how to see that he's active, is to really explore his qualities. Really look at the qualities of this personality, the qualities that he exemplified for people all over the world. And I'm just going to share just one or two qualities that have impacted my life, continues to impact my life in all the years of having served him, whether it was going to Africa and being sent there on a one-way ticket and living there for almost 10 years and experiencing having to go in all different kinds of circumstances, where there was no temple. When we went to Ghana, there was no temple at all. And so, we assisted in that service. How to take risks for the guru. This is something this is a way we can feel his presence, take risks on behalf of the spiritual master, go deeper in our spiritual life. This is a big risk because so many times we want to stay comfortable. I know I myself, I'm because my body is getting older now. I'm like so much like, okay, I can kind of like a little bit relax now. And now that my body's getting older and I'm thinking I can relax, this is how my Guru Maharaj is active. He keeps sending so many more things to be able to so many more services to do. Just yesterday, I got an amazing call for service at the United Nations. And I was like, oh, no, Krishna, no, Guru Maharaj. So this is how he's active. He's present. He's so present to be able to connect with us, to say, go deeper. Go deeper, keep going deeper, keep going deeper. Don't stay at the same place. Keep moving. And so these are some of the ways we can experience him. And the last point I want to make is about his qualities. And a few of the qualities, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj is most caring, right? He's kind. So he's some of the qualities that really I try to enter those qualities. Every day I write an intention for my day. Every single day I write an intention. I start today, my intention is. And when I think of those intentions, I always think of the qualities of our Guru Maharaj and some of those qualities that he has left. So that by his example, so that we can meditate on them. And so these qualities of being kind to everyone, being compassionate, and being equal to all. These are the 26 qualities of a devotee, of a personality that's representative of their spiritual master, that's pure. And our Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he exemplified these qualities. So being kind to everyone, being compassionate, being equal to all. This is something that I experienced and still continue to experience. And I know many of us are experiencing this. He's taught us how to always live these qualities of being kind to everyone. According to our capacities, of course. I mean, many of us are conditioned in many ways and we don't always understand how to be kind. So if we look at his life though, if we look at his example, and there's so many devotees that are doing so many things to help us to reflect on his life. Yesterday, 2 days ago, my friend Vishaka from Mumbai, she wrote to me, so sorry I haven't been able to respond yet. And, she writes dramas. She wrote this amazing drama about Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's life. And so we can see from things like this that other devotees are doing to help us to reflect on who was this personality? these qualities that he has left us, these qualities that he exemplified. So this quality of being kind, compassionate, equal to everyone. Also, this quality that I found in him that was humble and brave. He was so brave, at the same time humble, because Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, in the mood of being supportive in our institution, he exemplified this humility beyond what my little teeny easy mind, little mind could understand. And when Bhakti Dhira Damodar Maharaj shared yesterday, and he was sharing about all the different things that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was doing in West Africa, when some persons may have thought that he wasn't involved in ISKCON. It wasn't, as he said, it wasn't that he wasn't involved in ISKCON. It was that he was in a time of taking risks and doing things beyond what he thought his capacity was in order to expand Srila Prabhupada's Krishna consciousness. That's absolutely what he was doing in America as well as in Africa. So in America, he had a strategy of how to bring Krishna consciousness to people that generally may not have gotten an opportunity to get Krishna consciousness. And he made himself available for that. So he was equal to everyone, and he was compassionate, he was kind, he was humble by agreeing to disagree with some things that was happening in the institution at the time. And it wasn't that he left the institution, it was that he said, okay, I am not agreeing with this at this time. What I will do is refocus on how to develop strategies to teach Krishna consciousness. So it's really important to understand some of the details of the life that our spiritual master has lived and why he has done some of the things that he has done. And so I am looking at the time, and I'm going to check because there's so much I could say about our beloved spiritual master, what he has given to all of us, the legacy that he has left for all of us. There's so much to be said. At the same time, I don't want to go over the time that I'm supposed to be speaking. So I'm going to check in with Chiti and
thank you so much. This has been so wonderful. Very exciting to hear about all the pastimes and how we should relate with Maharaj. We have a couple questions, and we're going to start off with a question that we're going to ask everyone. So we want to understand, during this current climate of COVID, as well as the social, political, racial strife that is going on in America and possibly globally, what message do you think Guru Maharaj would give us during these wonderful times of trials and tribulations?
Yeah, it's so wonderful because I was thinking when you said that, trials and tribulations, my mind immediately went to like Parikshit Maharaj for some reason or other. I don't know why it went there. I was like, oh yeah, trials and tribulations ever since Parikshit Maharaj. So there's always trials and tribulations on this planet, isn't it? This is what the planet is made for. This is why we're here, to experience trials and tribulations. And fortunately for some of us, we have the key how to get out of these trials and tribulations. The question is whether we want to use the key and open the door. That's the real question. But I'm saying that kind of a little jokingly, but yeah, this is an elephant in the room, right? I said that yesterday when I gave class in Alachua Temple, that we as disciples of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, we need to, I believe it was Dear Nitai yesterday that said, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj taught us to think independently, not independently, maybe that's not the word he used, but it was something like to be thoughtful, to think, to find ways to reach the conditioned souls, to develop strategies how to reach the conditioned souls. This is a beautiful time. It's a wonderful time for us to develop some strategies, for us to look at some of the things. When like today you are dressed, you know, in your wonderful, wonderful, beautiful colors. And I remember when Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, you know, he was doing that. And it was because it was a time when African Americans were claiming their rights to be Africans. And so Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, you know, we just spent 10 years in Africa. And he was like, okay, this is beautiful. Let's take this and let's ride this wave. And so in riding that wave, what he did was he made himself available for exactly what people were looking for. They're looking externally for somebody that could look African. So he dressed like an African, you know, that could be, you know, like be present and available. He made himself available in every way that you can think about. Now, what did he do when he was doing that? Interestingly enough, he was speaking Prabhupada's philosophy, maybe in a way that was very simple, that seemed to some people simplified, but he was bringing Srila Prabhupada. He was distributing, we were distributing prasadam always. People, when they came to us, one of the things that would happen to them is they would get hooked by eating prasadam. We were always cooking to make sure that people had prasadam. He was doing all of the things that he was trained to do by being a devotee. And so we don't want to minimize the struggles that people are having. And that's why I said he was compassionate. You know, we don't want to minimize in any way, because all of us experience something in this world that's painful. Every single one of us, whether it's due to external being in the body, external being a woman in the body, external being, you know, a different color in the body, external being poor in the body than somebody else, social concerns, there's physical concerns, there's emotional concerns. All of us have these experiences in these bodies. So we don't want to minimize that. At the same time, we want to understand what is our purpose? What is our goal? What is our goal? And that's individual. Every person needs to really go deeper. And that's why I wanted to share about Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj being present, because Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj our Guru Maharaj is always present in his example, always. He's present in his example. He's present in his instructions. And that's the mood of the disciple, right? It's not that we get so caught up in the externals of the world. Yes, we must be compassionate. So let's brainstorm how to be compassionate. How can we be compassionate? How can we be caring? How can we be equal to all? First of all, understand what equal to all means. That means that we see each person as a spirit soul, right? That means each person is part and parcel of Krishna. That means that's the first thing. When, as I shared when we began this program, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, when I met him, what I got from him, I see you. Who is that you? Was it my external body? No, it was me. That I was this beautiful, wonderful, joyful, spiritual being that I had no knowledge about. I did not know that. I was not connected to that. Am I connected to it now? Maybe some more for sure than I was then. Can I be connected to it more? Yes. Do I want to be connected to it more? Yes. If I get so involved in what's going on in the world right now that I forget, you know, what my real work is, my real mission, what's going to happen? Do I want to take another birth in this mess when it's going to be even more due to Kali Yuga? No. Do I want to help people to step it up and remember, like, hey, you're a spiritual being. I see you. I see you. You're beautiful. Do I want to do that? Yes. Do I know how to do that? Maybe no. Maybe no. Do I need help to know how to do that? Yes. 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 So let's all come together to do that. And yes, in our institution, we do need to care for each other more so that we can understand what is needed to be done together. We got to do this together. And that's how Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj is present, because his disciples, we all know this. We know this. Are we willing to live it? Let's ask ourselves that question.
Beautiful, beautiful. We have another question from the audience. Someone asked, what is the most important lesson that you've learned from Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj?
Ooh, Krishna. Over the years, I've learned many, many lessons, and I've, been able to internalize some of those messages, those lessons. Some of them I'm still learning. There's one lesson I'm learning, and this lesson he gave me when he was leaving the body. I asked him personally, Gurudev, somehow I personally need something from you that I can meditate on when you're gone. You've given me many instructions over the years, and you, even now in your dying process, you've given us so many instructions. However, I need something personal. I think I don't know, maybe that was my ego. I'm sure it was my ego, because I'll tell you his answer. I know it was my ego in ways that I didn't understand. I thought I was being really sincere asking him. And it was like a few days before he left his body. And he looked at me with those eyes that were still alive. His body was leaving, but his eyes was alive. They were alive. And he said to me in a very piercing to my heart way, he said, I just want you to be compassionate to the devotees. And I remember at that moment when he said that, I was like, I've been serving you all my life. I've gone to Africa, lived in all kinds of conditions. And of course, I loved being in Africa. And I went to Central America, just me and Yashoda Mai, to open a temple, just 2 women. And I've served so many of your disciples, and, I've been with you through every part of somehow the missions, the part of the mission that you have been doing for Srila Prabhupada since 1979. I've been there, and my mind was like, I thought I was compassionate. I thought that. And when he said that, I was like, whoa, okay, I had to learn how to be compassionate. I had to learn that in the way that he wanted me to learn it, on his dying bed. And I thought, Krishna, please help me, because I don't know. And so I prayed, I keep praying, and I keep praying. And compassion, Ranat Swami talks about it. I try to listen to him and, closely, intently, just to hear what, ways that maybe I can increase or improve or become a better person at exemplifying compassion. So for me, as I shared, being kind, being compassionate, for me is what the quality that I am to live on behalf of my Guru Maharaj. For me, that's a quality that he had, and that's a quality that I see that is, for me to align with that quality. It's like a person. Compassion is like a person, like another person. And for me to align with that person, it's a depth that I still don't really understand. And so I am praying, constantly in prayer. I hope that answers.
Yes, most definitely. Oh, thank you so much. I would definitely like to know just any final other reflections that you have during the last days. I know we've heard a lot of different revelations, but just looking back, it's been 15 years. What are some of the reflections that you can see now that possibly you may not have been able to see at that time?
Yeah, I get to see how much he wanted us to come together as a family, as disciples. I get to see how much he wanted us to use whatever skills and talents that we may be have been given by Krishna to bring Krishna consciousness you know, as much as we can according to our capacity to the world. I get to see that. Quick story, a few years ago, I had a bit of an accident in India, and yeah, I had an injection in my knee, and two of my knees, both knees, and I couldn't walk for like almost 2 months. I couldn't walk. And I had to stay in the hospital, in the Bhaktivedanta hospital, where I was given the best care in the Bhaktivedanta hospital. I'm so grateful to the devotees that showed me so much care, so much affection. To my doctor, Giriraj Prabhu, who I just love. Ekavir Prabhu and myself, we just love him. And so when I couldn't walk, you know, I had to get therapy. And while I was getting the therapy, I would go into this room where children that were born not able to walk, children that, you know, they were so eager to learn to walk with prosthesis or this thing or that thing or whatever. And I watched these children every day. When I would go, I would see at least one child. And I remember how much that affected my heart. And I thought, these children, they have so much enthusiasm to want to walk. And I thought, Krishna, when will I get that enthusiasm to be able to share Krishna consciousness? Because I didn't think I would ever be able to do that in terms of how I, according to my capacity, how I had been used to do that. Because my capacity was that I would travel and teach. I couldn't walk. I thought, wow, Krishna, what will happen? And so came back to America from the hospital, still not able to walk. And then a devotee, a Radhanath Maharaj disciple, called me and said, I would like that you do social media programs talking about Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. We want to share Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj through social media. And to be honest with you, I was so resistant because I was so scared of social media. I was like, I don't want to be on social media. You know, I'm like a child of the 60s. So anything that's like, you know, public in terms of government or anything like that, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So I was kind of, no, I just resisted. And she was persistent as Radhanath Maharaj's disciple. And then I realized, I prayed to my Guru Maharaj, I said, you know, I am really scared to do this. I don't know how to do, I'm not in any way good at technology in any way at all. And at the same time though, I can't walk, I can't go anywhere, and I need to be of service. And then I had that message that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj often says, that sometimes something can be right in your face. And, you know, due to our own, you know, desires or our own conditioning, we don't even see that thing that's right in our face. And so there she was, right in my face. And so I decided, okay. And so that's how we started, Inter-IFAS, bringing social media programs. And that's what we've been doing. I've been fortunate to have this team of 5 women that are very dedicated to bringing memories of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. And somehow we are able to do this. And so we have, if you go to our Inter-IFAS website, you will see so many devotees sharing about our Guru Maharaj. And we were able to do programs during COVID, talking to people about how they are being courageous and confident during this time of COVID. So we interviewed many devotees. And so in a way, I'm plugging this now, that we want the devotees, we want to interview you. Please connect with us at Inter-IFAS so we can what we want you to share your memories. Krishna Shakti, I just asked your brother for your information and I just got it, because I was like, I want Krishna Shakti to share, because she has a lot to share about her connection with Guru Maharaj. She was so resistant for so long. So yes, so in answer to that question, we all have gifts and talents, and we all have some ability to serve our spiritual master in some way. So for me, getting present to, I could not walk. So Krishna Gurudev arranged another way for me to serve. And he arranged that I could talk. You can't walk, but you can talk. So keep talking. So that's what I've been doing. And so this is now like 3 years. So fortunately I can walk again. It took actually almost 2 years for me to really be able to walk again properly. I'm still not able to walk so properly, but however, I think I can go to another country now. Yeah, and so just yesterday, as I shared, somebody wrote to me, somebody, like a very dear personality that has a lot of responsibility for ISKCON, and she was requesting that I do some work with the United Nations. And I was kind of like, wow, Guru Maharaj, here you are again, you're so present, you're just so active. I remember when I was a young girl, in college, that was one of my desire to work at the UN. I didn't think, 50 years later, that's when this, and I'm like, do I really have that desire anymore? Of course, for Guru Maharaj and for Srila Prabhupada, we use everything, we do everything. I haven't decided yet, because I think there's so many young people that can do that service, so many younger devotees, like Krishna Shakti, that can do that service, like many, Chitti Shakti, so many devotees that can do that service. The fact that it came to me made me know Guru Maharaj is present and active. That made me know. So yes, my greatest realization now is that Gurudev is active and present, and sometimes things are right in our face and we don't see it. So let's move the barriers. Let's move the obstacles. That's our greatest challenge, whatever they may be, for whomever. I have so many of them, so I can share like that.
Thank you so much. That was so beautiful, and definitely encapsulates Gurudev's mood, and also just reflecting how Gurudev is ever present. We have 2 final questions. One coming from a devotee that states, when I think of Maharaj, immediately his super enthusiasm with utmost compassion and his complete dedication to Srila Prabhupada stands out. How do I develop those qualities following Maharaj's lotus footsteps?
Find someone that's doing that. Find someone. If you think, although you have those qualities, actually, those qualities are in you, perhaps they may not be reflected outwards. And in order to have them reflected outwards, oftentimes we need the association of other devotees that are reflecting those qualities outwards. That's what happened in the association that was given to me in my lifetime with our Guru Maharaj. I watched him closely. I wanted to learn from him because he loved Srila Prabhupada so much. I was like, I want to learn how to love like that. I really want to learn how to love like that. And so I watched what the things he would do, the things he would say, how he would interact with people. In his departure, he has left. He was actually really emphatic, I guess that's the right word, about us taking Shiksha Gurus, having Shiksha Gurus. And he recommended, even if we might be a little bit not sure, he did make a recommendation on Shiksha Gurus. And Shiksha Gurus, they are important to help guide us, to bring out the best in us. That's what the Shiksha Guru is for. And so you can have Shiksha Gurus on so many different levels of Krishna consciousness. So you may have a Shiksha Guru that's very extremely elevated in Krishna consciousness, or you may have a Shiksha Guru that is really trying to be elevated, really, really praying to be elevated. They may still have some conditioning, however, they can still serve and they can still assist. So find some persons that reflect those qualities of our Guru Maharaj, and take shelter of those persons, learn from those persons, watch them, question them, do things that pleases them. Do it, just become aligned, so aligned with those persons, because those persons are ultimately reflections or representatives of the super soul to help guide us. So I personally have at least, I have many Shiksha gurus actually. I see Shiksha gurus in all of Gurudev's disciples. Yesterday when I listened to the program, I was just amazed at all the devotees and their realizations about Gurudev. And in every one of those disciples are my Shiksha guru, because every one of those disciples got a special, special, sometimes that word gets misunderstood. They have that connection with Gurudev, where Gurudev's expressed to them, whether verbally or not, I see you. And so each disciple can be a Shiksha guru. Now the challenge is we need to be exemplary. We need to be exemplary. We can't just be Shiksha gurus because we're all elder. Oh, I'm the most senior. I've been, around for so many years, or I've done this service or that service, or, that's not what makes us Shiksha gurus. No, Shiksha guru is we're living the example of the spiritual master. What is the example of the spiritual master? And we're doing our best trying to do that. So this is important. We can't do it alone. We never can do it alone.
Thank you so much. We have one final question from a devotee. In Gurudev's last email to me, he agreed that I struggled in my personal service to him. But then he said, so also did many of Srila Prabhupada's servants. Then he said that Guru Tattva is not so easy to understand. So as you mentioned about how Gurudev is non-different from Paramatma, how do we understand that Guru is Krishna, but also Gurudev is an individual living being? So there's the principle of Sri Guru Paramatma, but also serving and being under the shelter of a particular living being. So how do we understand that Gurudev is an individual living entity, but also the manifestation of Paramatma? Is this just a Chinta Veda Veda Tattva?
Well, sastrically, it's explained that if a person sees the spiritual master as different, interesting question. Let me rephrase this. So, we're all on different levels of spiritual realization. And sometimes we may see the spiritual master as an ordinary person, sometimes. And our scriptures explains that it's best, if we want to make spiritual advancement, to not see the spiritual master as an ordinary person. Now, most of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's disciples don't see him as an ordinary person. Actually, in most cases, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's disciples are like criticized for seeing Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj as this, really, great personality, charismatic personality, whatever personality, there's so many ways that we get criticized for, for the reverence that we may have for our spiritual master. So we kind of don't want to see our spiritual master as ordinary. At the same time, yes, he does have a body. He does enter into this world. And so how do we reconcile? How do we reconcile that he is in the world, but he's not of the world? So this is important for us to know. He's in the world. And yes, he is coming from the Paramatma. He's a direct representation of the Paramatma. So he's coming here on a mission, to serve his spiritual master, as we said in Parampara. And he does take a body. And yes, in his body, he may exemplify, different things that sometimes we may question because we're materially conditioned. And so that's kind of natural in some ways. Best as we mature, that goes away. But sometimes that's there. So how do we reconcile both? Well, we take, again, shelter of persons that understand. You mentioned Achinta Beta Beta Tattva, simultaneously one and different. So that's a good principle in our philosophy. At the same time, though, Achinta Beta Beta Tattva needs to be understood that we're not minimizing one thing versus the other. So let's not minimize that because he's in a body, that we don't see him as coming from the spirit, from Paramatma. Let's not minimize that. And let's try to see, all of us together, how we can understand the essence of who Guru Maharaj was. Who was he really in the physical body, and also as a spiritual being, as a spiritual personality? Who was he really? Yeah, I am a little confused towards the end of the question. If you could repeat the last part of the question, because that's the reconciliation I want to hear. How do we do that?
Okay. All right. So, okay, there's a principle. Yeah, so we have that. So how do we understand that Gurudeva is an individual living entity, but also a manifestation of Paramatma? And then another question, is this just Achinta Beta Beta Tattva? So,
oh, I see. Mm-hmm. Is it just Achinta Beta Beta Tattva? You sound very somebody that's reading. That's wonderful. I'm happy to hear that. Who asked that question? I'm grateful that you're reading Prabhupada's books. And so I would recommend, and I would like to recommend this, that we have in our community persons that are more, because we all have different talents and skills, you know. So there are people in our community as disciples that maybe spend more time sastrically studying our books, that we can have maybe a sastric kind of committee of some sort, you know, some way that devotees can ask their spiritual questions and get proper understanding from those persons that spend time studying the sastras. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, it sounds like this devotee.
Actually, they made a clarification right now, so I think I will quickly try to clarify. They said, no, the question is not how is he a human being, but non-different from Krishna. The question is, how is he an individual living being, a spirit soul, but he's non-different from Krishna. So when we interact with him, are we interacting with Krishna or interacting with that individual living being? Thank you for clarification.
Okay. Both. We're interacting with that living being that exemplifies qualities of that pure person that's representative of Krishna. Yes, there were definitely. And that living being, you know, because that living being, you know, took birth here in the material world, have family, has some ways that maybe they may do certain things, just like Prabhupada, he took birth in India, he did things in a certain way. You know, we know he didn't really take the responsibility of giving this message until he had completed or finished his responsibilities with his family. So those things are important to understand. At the same time, though, it's really, and that's where the Achinta Beta Beta Tattva comes in. What's important is to know that the spiritual master is here on a mission to guide us back to Godhead, guide us as best as he, you know, as best as we are willing to be guided, to guide us back to the spiritual world. And that's the primary reason for the spiritual master. One time we were talking to Guru Maharaj in Hawaii before his departure. And that's before the later part of his departure. And I asked him, because I said I'm always asking him questions. So I appreciate that question. I asked him, Gurudev, is there anything you would have done differently while you were here on the planet? Would you have done anything differently? And he said, I'm grateful for what Srila Prabhupada allowed me to do. He said, at the same time, I would have wanted to focus my disciples more on the primary than on the secondary. And he told Ekavir and I that personally. And so I took that to understand for me that I needed to focus more on the primary. What is the primary? That we all gonna leave this body and we need to be prepared for that. What does that mean? Understanding that ultimately the purpose of this body is to know, our relationship with Krishna ultimately. And the spiritual master is there to guide us to know that. So this statement can be taken out of context in a lot of ways. And it was told to me in Ekavira, so I took it as a personal instruction that even though sometimes I focus on the secondary, I make an extra effort to focus on the primary, which means I try to study Srila Prabhupada's books. I try to hear every day. And not that I try, I do. I hear every day. I read Srila Prabhupada's book every day. I communicate about Prabhupada's books every day. I make sure that I chant, my rounds. I do the things that keeps me connected with the primary. And then I understand, how the secondary connects with the primary. And that's a personal instruction. However, for those of you that may not be, if you get disturbed about the secondary things that are going on in the world, then you might want to question, am I connected with the primary as much as maybe I could be? Maybe we need to be connected a little more. And again, I would like to recommend those devotees that really take time to study the sastras. If you can, please make yourself available, to disciples, to other disciples. I didn't get to hear this class yet, and I don't know, I'm kind of picking on Bhuta Bhavana Prabhu today. I think because he don't like it, because he's always hiding. At least he hides, I think, So I'm picking on him. But I didn't get to hear your class yet, but I hear so much about the class because it's been so busy, and I want to really sit and relish it because I know you're one of those devotees that really absorbed in the scriptures. And I heard that in his class, the last class he gave, that he said, if you're not reading Srila Prabhupada's books and if you're not chanting, don't even bother to contact me. And I was just like, whoa, that's pretty intense. I don't know if you really said that. That was something that was passed on to me, which Bhavana Prabhu. However, what I thought about that is like, we need messages. Sometimes we got to be strong like that, because it's delicate times, and we can get caught in the madness of what's going on in the world. And not that we're not compassionate, not that we're not kind. However, we got to stay focused on the primary. And we got to take shelter of those persons that are focused on the primary. This is the thing. This is why Chidi Shakti and the devotees, they have gone through the trouble of bringing us Bhakti Charu Maharaj, Sachinanda Maharaj, Radhanath Swami, to remind us about the primary. This is what these amazing souls do. They come to our hearts and they say, please remember the primary. Remember the primary. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful to Chidi. I'm grateful to all the devotees that came together to do this. I'm grateful for the tech that we have. That's just like amazing.
We're grateful for you. Thank you so much for your wonderful pastimes and excellent conversation. We're going to turn it over to Chidi Shakti.
I thank you so much because you know what? I have so much more respect for tech people. So much more, because I was so dismissive. Like, I do not want to know nothing about no social media. No, I don't want to get on any social media. And Kishore Rani, that's the name of the devotee. She's a Ranat Maharaj disciple. She was persistent and insistent. And so now when I look at the website, our website, I adore Nanda Suno. I'm like, Nanda Suno Prabhu, oh my God, you've been doing this for all these years. And I never once called you and said, Prabhu, thank you so much. So now I am humbly, low bow. Thank you so
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thank you for all your service and the few times I got to spend with Guru Maharaj. You're always there, and it's so much. It's great to hear your class today. It's really encouraging. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Mother Vrajalila, thank you so much. I think I'm speaking on behalf of everybody else. There have been so many comments in the chat room. Everybody's been so appreciative of what you're saying. What you said was so sincere, powerful, shastric, and represented Gurudev so nicely. We're really, really grateful. And thank you so much for keeping us all connected to Gurudev. You know, the IFAR service, I know, you know, like many of us, you don't like the whole social media thing, and it's a hard thing to do. But it has made Gurudev's teachings so much more available to so many more devotees. And devotees are from all over the world, even those who've never met him are so inspired by him, and you're facilitating that. So thank you. We're so grateful to have you. I just wanted to make some announcements.
Before you make the announcement, can I just really thank Chitti Shakti? I mean, can I just really thank Krishna Shakti? Krishna Shakti, thank you for jumping in. Thank you for having a voice. Thank you for being you. And please, we want you to share your memories.
Krishna Shakti, you have to listen now. You've got to go to your memories. You've been asked like 4 times.
All right, it's the order I will do. Thank you.
So I'm going to share with you just some. Okay, so I'm going to share with you first of all the rest of the program. So as Mother Vrajalila said, you know, this evening we're going to have His Holiness Bhakti Swami joining us, and he will be speaking. So just to give you some different times, please check your local time though. So UK time will be 6 o'clock. In East Coast of America, so that's New York time, will be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And in India, it will be 10:30 p.m. And Maharaj will be speaking about how we create new memories with the spiritual master after their departure. And it will be amazing. I know it's something that will be on many of our minds, how we can create more wonderful experiences with Gurudev, even while he's physically not on the planet, even if we've never met him. So please do tune in for that. All the recordings are also going to be, and some have already been uploaded on YouTube. If you look in the chat room, the link is already posted for yesterday's session. And on that same channel, you'll get today's session. IFAST also are live streaming all these sessions, so you can watch live on that. If you don't get into the Zoom call, or just follow their Facebook page, it's IFAST, INTERIFAST. Again, it's in the chat room. And what else was I going to say? I think that's it in terms of this evening's program. So please, please, please do check out those links and share them with devotees. Tomorrow we kick off in the morning with His Holiness Satchidananda Swami, and at lunchtime, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we have Chandramali Maharaj, and in the evening we close with His Holiness Radhanath Swami. So again, different programs will be live streamed on IFAST. And Radhanath Maharaj's class will also be live streamed on Radha Gopinath Temple's YouTube channel. So a link will be sent out later. And last but not least, we want to say some thank yous. So first of all, and just make you aware of a few things, Maharaj's books are available on Amazon. Mother Vrajalila did mention, you know, that they've now been moved to the print on demand service. So one of the issues we had with Gurudev's books was, you know, an issue with were we reprinting enough and distribution. So with the Amazon print on demand service, it just means whatever books you need, you order it, and within 4 days it will be dispatched to you. And that's all over the world. Most of the titles are up there. Thank you so much to Jayananda Prabhu. I mean, for many, many years, he's been taking care of Maharaj's Kindle books and then making them available for this new format for print on demand. It's a lot of work. And he quietly works away in the background, so we're very, very grateful to him. So just use your local Amazon link. Gurudev's classes, audiobooks, lectures, videos, all available on his wonderful website. The Nanda Sanu is now revamped, but has started off in 2004. Very easy URL, btswami.com. And then last but not least, thank you so, so, so much to everybody who's contributed to our global offering to, I guess, acquire as a gift for Gurudev his house, the house that he left his body in Gitanagari. And he wrote many of his books there. There's many classes that still go on there, and visiting sannyasis and senior devotees stay there. So our offering to him this year is to pay off the mortgage and to just acquire the property on his behalf. And out of a balance of $87,000 in just 12 days, we've raised $67,000. There's only $20,000 to go. So if you would like to contribute, the GoFundMe link is just up there on your page. I think Anderson is going to also post it in the chat room if you want to directly link in. And if you've already made a contribution, thank you. We are so grateful. And thank you so much for joining us today. See you this evening. And please spread the word because everybody's welcome. Thank you very much. And thank you again, Mother Vrajalila.
Kitty Shakti, one thing that I really neglected that's really important is I really, really want to thank Chandramali Maharaj. I don't think I mentioned his name. And just really grateful, Maharaj, that you accepted this invitation to be on this program. You're such a dear friend to our Gurudeva. And so we really, really love so much that we're going to be able to hear from you. Thank you so much, Chandramali Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.